Hello and welcome to Living Your Spirit with Anthony, where we cut through the noise and get real about life, love, and purpose. This isn't about fixing you. It's about uncovering the power that's already inside you. I talk about hermetics, energy, spirit, and individual essence. Notice how many may lead you to believe you need something or something is missing. You need a certain book, you need a certain course, you need a certain degree, or to go to a certain college, or live in a certain neighborhood, or buy certain clothes, or eat at certain restaurants, or watch certain TV shows. It's as if you always need to be, do, or have something to make yourself whole. My friends, we are already whole. I focus on the wisdom, peace, and satisfaction already within. Join me as we explore the patterns shaping your relationships, your health, and your wealth, and discover practical ways to live with peace, power, and purpose. All right, sit back, relax, and let's jump right into the conversation. Is life really a game? That's the question we're answering today. And you've probably heard it before, right? Life is a game. What does that really mean? How do we play? How do we win? Or if it's not about winning and if it's just about playing the game, how do we stay in the game? Welcome to Living Your Spirit. This is episode 134. This is Anthony, and today we're talking about life as a game. How do we play? How do we stay in it? And if it's not a game to win, just a game to constantly play, how do we stay in it? How do we have a good time? How do we enjoy it? How do we change it around? How do we have the game meet our needs, our wants, and everything else? So you probably heard that before, right? Life is a game. But I don't know if you listened or dived any deeper into that to discover, what does that really mean? What does it mean that life is a game? For me, it means play along, become more childlike, become more curious, learn how to explore and discover, learn how to be authentic, but also very open to change. And when I say be authentic but open to change, I mean be real about what you're thinking and feeling in every moment. And to people outside interacting with you, that's going to appear that you're constantly changing. And that's part of the game. We are constantly changing. Why would we stay the same? We are constantly changing. We constantly change the way we think. We change the way we feel. We change how we act, react, and behave. And because all of that is us, it's still who we are. It's still our true self or selves. It's authentic. Now, the only way it's not authentic is if we try to people please. We try to make someone happy. We act in a way that someone won't break up with us. We act in a way that we won't lose our job or that our boss will like us. That's not being authentic. So if you're acting in a way, say, for example, you're trying to make your boss really like you because in your mind, if my boss likes me, I won't lose my job. Or I'll get a raise or a promotion or both or all three. So let's say now you switch that role to I'm authentic. You may give an opinion that's negative. You may say something that's negative, but that's your opinion. That's you being authentic. So that side of you that you pushed down, that you suppressed because you wanted to impress someone else, is not your authentic self. That's why I say, as we change and as we're more authentic, people around us are going to experience us constantly changing. If you think about what you're going to say to maybe your parents or your partner or your spouse, is that real and authentic in that moment? Or is that something that you just say because you always say that? You always act in the same way. You always respond in the same way. Part of the game is to play along so that we're still happy, we're still authentic, we are still real, and we're going through life with a level of joy, happiness, discovery, curiosity, experience, exploration. And that means we are always constantly changing. If you said, I never go into the city, that might be because of some fear. Maybe your authentic self would love to go into the city. So if you change to, oh, I'm going to the city tomorrow and I'm going to take public transportation or I'm going to walk around, and everyone that knows you thinks that's totally bizarre, that's not like you, now you are living your authentic self. And when we live our authentic selves, we feel a certain level of love, not only for ourselves, but for others. We feel a certain level of acceptance because now we're accepting who we are. We're accepting what we want, what we don't want, what we like, what we love, what we don't like. And that leads to loving ourselves. And when we love ourselves, it's very easy to love others. We feel more at peace because we're not on edge about making up stories or saying things the way we think people want to hear them. It just naturally comes out. And it's not about being rude. It's not about being disrespectful. It's just about being real and true and living life based on living your spirit. I may not like your dress. I don't have to tell you that I don't like your dress. But if you ask me and I'm authentic and I'm real and I'm honest, I owe it to myself to say I don't like the dress. I don't need a reason. You don't need a reason. Now, in most cases, people will instantly feel offended. Sometimes they won't. If they're playing the game and they understand authenticity and realness, and they can just take your opinion and be okay with it and say, I'm wearing a dress. There are 8 billion people on the planet. All 8 billion people are not going to like this dress or my shoes or my hairstyle or my suit or my car or my home or my neighborhood, whatever it is. You're not going to get the whole world to like what you like or think what you think. So just be open to all opinions, good and bad, positive and negative, up or down. That's part of people being real. And your acceptance of that is part of your being real. And that's part of playing the game. We play the game by staying in the game. And how do we stay in the game? By playing along, by having fun, by having a good time, by rolling with the punches, by going with the changes, by flowing with the ups and the downs. That's what flow is. I expected this person to show up at this party and they didn't. That's okay. I'll see them another time. Or I'll make arrangements for something else. I expected the train to come at this time and it didn't. Oh well, I'm going to be a little late. I'll call and let them know if someone is actually waiting for me. The anxiety, the fear, the anger, the upset, the resentment, all of that as part of our game drags us down, brings us down, lowers our spirit. It's almost like a bird flying high, flying free. And then when you take something away from its spirit, it falls out of the sky. That's the same way. When we live life and we play the game and we're joyful, we're happy, we're loving, we're in our spirit. And when I say in our spirit, I mean our true spirit, not the false self, not the inauthentic self, not the self that lives in fear, that has to say certain things, certain ways, because we believe it's what people expect of us. So when it comes to thinking about change, if you're saying it doesn't sound right for me to change in every moment, it's kind of what most people that live inauthentically do anyway. If you're living inauthentically, you're constantly changing. But now you're not changing for you, you're changing for everyone outside of you, everyone that you interact with, everyone that you come in contact with. You change so that you make them happy, or you put them at ease, or you put them at peace. And what does that do? That breaks apart your inner peace. That makes you anxious, that makes you nervous, that makes you fearful, that makes you worry. Am I doing the right thing? Am I saying the right thing? Or am I doing or saying the thing in the right way? That leads to stress. That leads to anxiety. That leads to worry. I worry that I won't get it right. I worry that I won't do it right. I worry that I won't say the right thing to my spouse, to my partner, to my kids, in the meeting. So if you change that to saying what you think people want to hear, that's not being authentic. That's not living your spirit. That's not playing the game. That's getting caught up in the game and being a victim of the game simply because you really don't know the rules. And I feel like in our situation, in our society, many of us don't know the rules. I should say the real rules, the true rules, the rules that get us through life living our spirit, because we've been taught, don't say that. Oh, you better act this way. Boys don't cry. Girls don't get angry. Guys don't paint their nails. And the list goes on and on and on. So today on social media, you can see almost anything. And I love looking at all the things that show people in their real, authentic selves that go against the typical norms. I watched a little girl painting her dad's nails the other day, and he seemed overjoyed. And of course, that led to his daughter being overjoyed. She was maybe 3 years old, painting all over the place, not only on the nail, on his toes. He's happy. He's guiding her. She's laughing. That's a good time. To say to your son, boys don't cry, that's you being authentic. Inauthentic, I should say. That's you not playing the game. That's you being afraid. You're afraid your son will grow up a certain way. You're afraid your son will be judged a certain way. Is that fearful for your son, Or is that fearful for yourself? You carry the fear. If we raised our children to be honest and open and authentic, they would be real starting at a very early age. And I'm not saying that we don't have to put certain precautions in place to help protect our children and to help them have a really joyful experience. I understand that children can be cruel because we have children in the world that are cruel, and that's because we have parents and adults in the world that are cruel and hateful and hurtful. So a little boy that goes to school with his nails painted may get laughed at or judged or ridiculed, but that's based on those kids' parents. So I understand we want to try and control how our children are treated. It's more about allowing our children to just explore and be, just as we allow ourselves to explore and be. Try the different thing on the menu because of the experience of trying the different thing on the menu. We get locked up in our ways. We refuse to change. We get really rigid. Well, it's got to be this way. And that's not how we play the game. If we want to stay in the game and we want to have joy, we want to have peace, and we want to live our spirit. The world is not going to end, and I don't think our lives are going to end, or anyone around us life is not going to end if we call ourselves vegetarian and we decide to have a chicken sandwich or we decide to have a hamburger. We are not going to die or shrivel up and disintegrate if we forget to go to the gym and work out and it's January 5th and we just started our new diet on January 1st. It's not a big deal. And some of these things are really silly and they're really simple, and they may be things that you're thinking, well, I wouldn't allow that to be a thing for me. But then the question is, which things do you allow to be a thing for you? It could be your parents. You could be 30, 40, 50, maybe even 60 years old, and your parents are still running your life. Your parents are still judging you. You're still afraid of what your parents might say. Maybe it's your children. Maybe it's your boss. Maybe it's your coworker. If you own a business, maybe it's your customers or your clients. Maybe it's your neighbors. How do I look? What car am I driving? How am I decorating my house? How am I taking care of my lawn? It's all based on what the people around me will think versus what do I really want? What do I really like? What do I really need in this moment? Not what did I do yesterday? What do I think I'm going to do tomorrow? What kind of lines up with what I've just done this past month? That's boring. That's not exploring. That's not discovering. That's not authenticity. That's not change. We have to learn how to juggle life and play the game and roll with the ups and the downs, and at the same time create our own ups and downs. So what, you started a diet and now you want ice cream. Start the diet, eat the ice cream or eat the pizza or eat the french fries, and now you gotta walk. You gotta run. You gotta ride the bike. You gotta go for a swim. You gotta do something. You know what I'm saying? New Jersey's coming out here. You get the idea to take yourself out of the box and stop being so rigid and locked in to four walls, four corners. Throw away the box completely. Just play the game. Expect good things. Expect love. Expect joy. Expect your bills paid. Expect being in great shape without worrying about it. Worrying about it is part of what ruins our spirit. It pulls us out of the game, and it makes us anxious, and it makes us worry, and it makes us fearful. Just try to go with the flow. When you think about a brook or a stream or a river and it's flowing, if you threw a big rock into that flow, the river doesn't stop. The lake doesn't stop. It keeps going. What does it do? It flows around. It flows around the rock and around the rock and around the rock non-stop. And what happens to the rock? It slowly disintegrates. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until one day it's not there. But the flow is still going. That's what it means to live our spirit. Keep going with the flow. When something gets in our way, we flow around it. When someone disagrees, we flow around it. When someone gets angry or upset, we flow around it. When we get angry or upset, we flow around it. We feel the anger, we feel the sadness, we feel the loneliness. We understand why we're lonely. We understand why we're sad. We know why we're angry, but we don't let it ruin half of the day, all of the night, or flow into the next day. We accept it, we realize it, we experience it, and then we move on to the next thing. We move into what our spirit really wants to experience in that moment. And in every moment, our spirit wants to experience love, peace, connection, joy, interaction, communication. It doesn't want to experience fear, loneliness, sadness, anger, separation, the silent treatment, resentment. That's when we close off. Not only do we close off from other people, we close off from ourselves. So how are you playing the game? Are you going to change your own rules? Maybe play a little bit differently? Throw away the box? Stop reading the rules and just play the game and see what happens? I'd like to know. So go into the comments, click on fan mail, and let me know how you're playing the game. Or if you have questions about how you can change how you're playing the game. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you on the next episode. All right, that's our show for today. Have a question? Click on fan mail in the show's description. Thanks for tuning in to Living Your Spirit with Anthony. If today's conversation hit home, share it with someone who needs to live from a deeper place of truth. And if you're ready to go further in your discovering of your true spirit, you can grab a 1-hour solution at anthony-johnson.com. 3 powerful assessments to show you where you're being called and where you're meant to thrive. Until next time, my friends, keep living your spirit.